Let's continue that this morning, and there has been mixed reaction to the resignation of the CEO of Eskom, that Andre de Ruyter, of course, appointed back in December 2019, is going to officially step down in March. So what is the view of NUM? Well, their General Secretary, Mr. William Mabapa, joining me this morning. William, good to have you on the show. Appreciate your time. A good thing or bad thing with the Eskom CEO resigning?
No, it's a good thing.
Why is that?
Look, we have been raising this issue, and as NUM, we were one of those organizations that march many times to Megawatt Park, and one of our demands was that the Eskom CEO must resign. And we think that our plight or the issues that we're raising about the Eskom electricity crisis, the competency of the team in the Eskom has come to fruition, and we hope that our members that gave us a mandate over this matter, hearing this news in December, probably this will be a bonus. But we believe that the problem of Eskom is a problem that affects the economy of the country. So it's a crisis that does not only affect our members, but even though it put more of our members' job security in the pipeline than any other. But we think that the economy of this country is highly affected by the load sheddings that are now taking place. And we are hopeful, and we believe very strongly that the selection of the new CEO must be a selection that is really going to make the difference.
In what way?
We hope that
understand that. In what way would a new CEO make a difference? What would this CEO need to do? What qualifications would they need to have in your perfect world?
Look, we strongly believe that there are people that work for Eskom, they understand Eskom, and they are either the engineers themselves or people that are highly skilled in terms of this electricity. You see, the problem in many times in South Africa is that we hire a person that if you become open, it's as good as saying, you hire a person like as a CEO like me. I really don't know anything. I must rely on some other people. If they mislead me, there is no place where I can say, but in my knowledge of this, this is how it is done. The way in which you are then telling me, it is not how it is done.
You want to have, for example, an expert electrical engineer or a high voltage engineer, for example, someone who's been in the field as the CEO. Would that be a way forward for you?
Yes, that will assist, because we don't want a person who, when he comes to a place, he sits in a bedroom, he must then be prepared and then be given written on what he must address. If, for example, yourselves as a media want to address to interview the person, then he goes to somebody must write for him. And very often it is those things that are creating problems in companies. That's why if there are mistakes, a person must himself, it will be good when a CEO can say, I see this power station is not performing. I will go to this power station. I will spend a day or 2 days there. I will understand myself what is the problem. And if indeed the management of that power stations are not working, he must then take decisions there and then. Say, hey, guys, you are the ones that are not working. So therefore, I'm taking this decision as the CEO. So we can't at this time. There are areas that are technical. And really there, you don't need a person that has got a skill because he was once a CEO somewhere. If you look at let me just give 2 examples. If you look at the 2 CEOs that were in Eskom, Mabuza and may his soul rest in peace, and de Ruyter, they didn't have a knowledge and a skill about electricity. Yes, there were CEOs in certain companies, but they don't have the skills of energy, and they were CEOs. And to us, that is one other issue that is really creating problems.
Let me talk about the politics of this for a moment. If you're suggesting, and I think many people would agree with you, a new CEO at Eskom, especially in that position, needs to have a lot of technical experience. Wouldn't you imagine then that the minister overseeing all of this should also have a lot of technical electrical engineering experience? Because to your point, if the CEO doesn't have that experience, he'll listen to whoever gives him the information. Surely that's true for the politicians that run Eskom and this department as well. Would that be true as well?
Look, the reality of the matter is that is the problem, one of the challenges of how ministers are appointed in South Africa. If you look, for example, I'm not a doctor. Let me give you an example. I'm not a medical doctor. If one day I can be appointed as a Minister of Health, what does that mean? That means I must always rely on the DG, that the DG must always prepare for me, because myself, I can't even write a single speech on the issues that I must raise. Because, that is, I will say that this is one typical example that says, yes, ministers that are related to to that must also have that. The problem, but you must look at how our scope of our ministers are structured, and I'm sure by itself will then be a problem. Because
I imagine very briefly, William, I don't mean to interrupt. It's the same as having someone who's not a doctor as the Minister of Health. Obviously, we prefer having doctors as Ministers of Health. In one sentence, if you can, do you think there should also be a change in the Public Enterprises Ministry? Should we get a new minister to join the new CEO? What do you think, as briefly as you can?
I will say that it must go to that an extent, but what I wanted to explain is, for example, if you talk about the public minister as an example, he is not only responsible for, let's say, for Eskom. He is also responsible for other entities that, if he then becomes a person that is skilled, let's say, through the Eskom engineering, electricity-related matters, but the other scope of where he's a minister, in the SOEs, for example, they are also related to that. I'm sure the packaging of also this must also be relooked.
It's a very, very big portfolio, and I think a lot of people would agree with you that you've got a minister who's handling a lot of SOEs and a very large portfolio. Possibly a relook at that. William, I appreciate your time for the moment. I do need to say goodbye to you, but I thank you for your time. NUM General Secretary William Mabapa. It's going to be the most spoken about topic today, without a doubt. And coming up in a moment, that was the union perspective, but Tumza are going to be getting the business side of it. Business Unity South Africa, Busa, is going to be joining her in a moment. What do they make of the end of the career of that man? Tumza going to speak to Cass Kovadia, Busa CEO, in a moment.